Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Your Spiritual Journey. This is Dr. Bob, and this is the space and the place where we talk about things important to your soul. As always, we ask you to like us, leave comments if you wish, and by all means, think about supporting us on Patreon and subscribing. Today's guest is someone who was recommended to me by last week's guest. Her name is Rita Lampe, and she's an Advanced Eden Energy Medicine Practitioner, an MSW, LCSW, and Integrative Trauma Healing Specialist. She's worked extensively with clients with deep grief and loss, anxiety, PTSD, autoimmune disorders, and cancer, as well as people in addiction recovery. Rita studied Reiki in the early 2000s and has level 3 Reiki training. This led to many shifts in her professional career working as a traditional talk therapist to a body-centered and intuitive healer. When she discovered and began studying Eden Energy Medicine with Donna Eden in 2017, eventually becoming an advanced practitioner, she realized that she had finally found her passion and the work for which she was meant to do in the world. She's also led to study intuitive training with Kim Chestney. You may recall, if you've been a follower of this podcast, that Kim was on last summer in 2024. And I noticed that Kim is also doing a program at the ARE coming up with a couple other people who have been on this show. So, as she studied with Kim Chestney, as well as Soul Empowerment Hypnosis with Courtney Starkey, that deepened and broadened her skills and as an intuitive holistic healer. She has an active psychotherapy and energy medicine practice where she incorporates all the intuitive training and gifts she has received from Eden Energy Medicine, Intuition Lab, and Spiritual Empowerment Hypnosis training. She's very passionate about the sacred work of energy medicine. I think I'm going to stop there because I'm going to let Rita fill you in on her life story, and then we'll get into some questions.
Okay.
So, Rita, the mic's all yours.
Oh, thanks, Bob. And thanks so much for that intro. I've listened to some of your other podcasts, so I saw sort of how it get more or less people start off. So I wanted to just share a little bit about my upbringing and how I even got into this work. My upbringing was, grew up in St. Louis in a cradle Catholic family. So I was born Catholic, have 16 years of Catholic education, which I was pretty involved in for quite a long time. But I also, growing up, had my own interesting spiritual experiences that I couldn't quite explain, that I knew was something different, but I didn't really talk to people about. I felt energy. I, connected with spirit in ways that, 11, 12-year-old kids don't really talk about. So I really kept it to myself. Was pretty involved in some, Catholic retreats growing up and spiritual direction with different Catholic folks, priests and nuns. And eventually, I'll get to that part in a little bit, I have not been a part of organized religion for about 17 or 18 years, which was actually really freeing for me, in a lot of ways. So I grew up like that and didn't really know that I had anything to really, I didn't grow up in a family of abuse or anything like that. My dad was a little bit of a yeller and a screamer and that kind of, impacted my central nervous system, right? And my fight or flight system. Yeah, but throughout my growing up years, and I was thinking about this preparing for this podcast, I used to write in my journals or my notes in school, help. I was just to write help. I'm like, what is that about? Why am I writing help? It was just sort of this thing that came through me. And I had some fleeting anxiety and moments of kind of depression or like, why am I here? Or why should I be here? Thought it was just, normal thing. Again, didn't talk to anybody about it. So fast forward to 25. I was married a year, and this is a pivotal moment of my life, so I want to share it because it really led me into deeper healing work. And this morning when I was meditating for this podcast, I was asking my guides, what should I share? And they told me I needed to share this, and it's the first time, I didn't know I was going to cry, that I've shared it publicly. I've shared it privately. I shared it in a blog one time, but it's the first time I've said it in this type of forum, shared it in this type of forum. So I'm 25, married a year, and I went with my husband to visit a very good friend in Michigan who was a physical therapist. And I had been working in my social work field and seeing a lot of folks with trauma and just was getting triggered over and over. And I didn't really understand why. Movies and other things were making my body feel weird. So my friend said, hey, I want to practice this technique on you. It's called body unwinding. I'm like, sure, I'll be your guinea pig. Had no idea when I laid down on that table what was going to transpire. What transpired was whatever he was doing tapped into my body's consciousness. Body stores memories and trauma. And it clicked into a series, almost like a video of playbacks from about 18, 19, all the way back of times where I was touched inappropriately by boys in the neighborhood or different things. I'll call them sexual boundaries, sexual violations that kept flowing back. It was like a reel going backwards, backwards, backwards. And then it landed on me as about a 14-month-old in a playpen at my dad's parents' home. And my body was feeling things. I'm sobbing on this table uncontrollably, and feeling like knowing that all these other experiences were those, and something had happened in that experience, in that place. It didn't take me there for no reason. I could see my grandma. I could see her picking me up. I could see her crying. And I got off. He finished the session, and I was exhausted and still crying. And I said, Joe, that is not real. What? That's crazy. He said, Rita, honestly, he goes, I've worked with other folks. He says, you don't make this stuff up. He says, I was your witness here. You didn't make this up. Your body was letting you know something that it had buried. And I knew it was true because I knew I was feeling weird things, but I didn't want to believe it. I didn't have the actual, video of what truly transpired. My body had sensations of what I thought it was or what. And so I was in shock. I was in shock. And it opened, looking back, it was a divine intervention. It was Spirit's way of saying, I'm bringing healing to you. And here's your journey. So I did share with my husband, still in shock, came home, ended up eventually finding a therapist and started talking about things. And I did, I was with that therapist for about 3 years, and it was pretty intense because my body was remembering, right? And so the work I do now as an energy medicine practitioner, we know that the body keeps the score. We know that. So this was my introduction to understanding that at a visceral level, going through it myself. And I won't go into great details, but I know that there were many times where my husband saw me sobbing, crying, just curled up in a ball. He had to, as a newly married person, deal with this situation that he had no clue about. And I really had no clue about, right? I was young. I was new to this profession, but I knew that this was something that was real. I didn't make it up. And in fact, when I had the memories come up, I asked my godmother, who was one of my big mentors in life, and my sister, did you ever think that this person, my dad's father, acted weird in a sexual way. And she said, oh, yeah. I mean, my grandparents lived about a mile or two from my house. We never spent the night there. We did holidays only. They didn't come to games. We did birthdays and obligatory times with them.
Yeah.
And my sister said the same thing. I knew, but I needed to hear somebody else say, yeah, my mom was not a fan. So I knew that I didn't need that validation, but I did. And then I asked my mom, was there a time in this time of my life, about 14, a little bit over a year, that I was left at their home? Only time ever that they ever, well, actually, I think it happened again when I was 2. She said, yeah, when your brother was born.
Oh,
You know, they had to leave. In those days, women were in the hospital for a while. So my mom and dad chose that place because her mom was dealing with her father, who had just gotten diagnosed with cancer or was not well. And her sister was having babies. So
yeah.
she was not able to take on a child. So this was the default. And so she validated. I said, was this playpen set up in this spot in that house? And she validated. So I knew that my memory was accurate. And I knew my body memory was telling me something. So yeah, I worked on a lot of deep healing from that. And I ended up telling my parents, and which is a big thing.
It would be. Yeah.
You know, how,
Sure.
you know, that, oh, you're making that up in your mind, all that kind of stuff. Neither of them said that. I was scared, not so much telling my mom, but I was a little scared telling my dad. He was an only child, and I think he had a hard time. And I remember having a conversation with him one time because it kind of broke my family open, you know. I didn't tell my younger siblings at the time. They're quite a bit younger. But he said, well, you know, I just don't understand. How could this happen? You know, blah, 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 blah. And I said, listen, Dad, you know, your father was one of 10 children who lived in a 2-bedroom house growing up in South St. Louis, very poor. Who knows what was going on in that house? I don't know. You know, I don't know. So he never denied me. He never denied that, but I don't know how he, you know, and when his father died, I actually I did go to the funeral, which was very hard for me. And he came up afterwards at a lunch and he said, I just want you to know that, you know, when he was dying, he did say to me to tell, you know, to say sorry, because I had cut off contact with them. They didn't know why. But in all of this, I do believe that my grandma knew something, because why would a grandmother stay away from her grandchildren?
Yeah.
She never had us over to make cookies, never did anything with us. And so, you know, I bless her for that, you know, because none of my other siblings were ever in a situation. But we did spend time with them over holidays and stuff, and other, you know, nothing other that I remember happened. But that was an entry for me to understand how trauma gets stored in the body. And that's what I think Spirit wanted me to share today, because a lot of people have those memories or these weird feelings, and they can't explain them. And I've seen thousands, maybe not thousands, hundreds of folks who've had these experiences. And I can now say to them, you know, you're not making that up. There's something your body's trying to tell you. So that was an entry to that. And then I led into all kinds of other things because I was having pain. So that's when I, you know, later on took Reiki, and then later on got into Kundalini yoga and eventually found energy medicine, right?
So where was this pain?
The pain was mostly when I met with the physical therapist friend who did this. I had pelvic pain, and I had pain here, and I had low back pain, sacrum pain. And so oftentimes what I know now from all my training is that a lot of, you know, trauma of all sorts, but particularly sexual trauma, is stored in the root chakra, right? In that pelvic area, in the low back, because root chakra is all about feeling safe, right?
Yeah.
And in fact, you know, when I work with the cancer community here. I do a webinar once a month for Cancer Bridges to help teach people energy medicine techniques that they can work on for themselves and empower them in their process. And I love doing that, and they love it too. But I have a you know, someone who I've worked with, and when people get cancer, you know, there's many reasons why people get cancer, right? Genetics, environment, pollution, stress, all kinds of things. But trauma and stress are included in that, right? So, I have someone who has had endometrial cancer and experienced incest. Is that a surprise that illness showed up in that space? I don't know. There's also, again, genetics and other things, but you probably may have heard of Gabor Mate. Do you know Dr. Gabor Mate?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. So he's one of these gurus in the world of knowing how the body holds trauma. He wrote When the Body Says No. You all know Bessel van der Kolk's book of when the body keeps the score. But Dr. Gabor Mate is from Canada. He's an MD. He's written a couple books. He has YouTube videos. He's actually a Holocaust survivor. He was about my age that I was when I was left, 15 to 18 months, when his mother handed him off to someone to take care of him and keep him safe. But again, the trauma for me was both what what happened, but also that I didn't have my mommy, right? I didn't know at 15 months, 14 months, why I was there and where was my mom.
Yeah.
Because little children think they're an extension of this parent. So the bigger core wound in some ways, which actually I'm still working on 40 years later, but had a beautiful session with my beautiful energy psychology therapist yesterday, that really kind of, I think, finally was my final breakthrough on that, was this feeling forgotten, where's my mom? And so that, these things happen and they do impact your psyche, your soul, I'll say your psyche, because I think your soul's pure. I think your soul's your soul, right? And and coming back home to self is all about coming back home to that true essence, right? So this journey has been that for me. But it's taken, I'm 62 this year, so it's taken a long time and persistence and trust and following the guidance that got to. When I always had prayed for this passion, a way to do more than what I was doing, because, my career as a therapist is wonderful, but I knew it wasn't enough. People weren't healing with talk therapy. I mean, they were. It's fine. It's good. It holds space. It gives presence and holds people, gives people a lot of good things. But the trauma stuff, you got to work with the body, and my healing from that perspective has come more from doing body-centered work. Reiki and yoga and breath work and massage and myofascial work and leading even into emotional freedom technique, which is not per se body work, but it's the tapping stuff, which is under the umbrella. So energy medicine came in later in my life, right? And I've been doing all kinds of other things. I'd seen spiritual directors for years. I still see one. And I use church as thinking that could help me heal, which didn't really. I used Christian music for a while. I went through all these things until I was able to open myself up to more, right, into spirit, and really understand that at a deep level. So energy medicine came in my life at 2017 and 2016, really. 2017, I started the program. But prior to that, I was having spiritual revelations, such as the one I shared with you when we first talked on the phone was through Kundalini Yoga and other people I was meeting, people were talking about past lives. I'm like, that's not true, right? There's no way that's true. And you believe, that's the initial response most people have until, as Suzanne Geisman says, there's no other explanation for something that happens in your life, right? So in 2013, my daughter went to study abroad in Chile. And I said, well, I'm going down there with you because I had met someone when I studied in Spain who was from Santiago. And I said, I want to see him after 30 years and his family. We'd kept in touch. So I did. On the way home in the airport, standing in line, 2 kids were standing in front of me, coming to study in Pittsburgh. And we started chatting in Spanish. Oh, what are you doing? Blah, blah. Ended up befriending them, ended up getting on the plane, sitting in the same row and saying, do you have a ride home from the airport? Is anybody from Pitt picking you up? Because they were going to study at Pitt. No. I said, well, my husband's coming. I can give you a ride. The one kid had a different flight. So the young man named Pedro said, okay, I'll take a ride with you. He just met me, but like we
Yeah.
were instantaneous. You know, when you meet someone that you know,
Oh, yeah.
that's exactly what that felt like. Dropped him off and we exchanged stuff, and we started having the two young gentlemen over to our home for dinners and became like their local host family. And it was just a beautiful thing. And so when they left and they took them to the airport, I'm hugging them and I'm sobbing. And then I came back, and a week or so later, I was seeing a person who was my Reiki teacher at the time and doing sessions with her. And I'm sobbing. I'm like, Judy, why am I crying so much? Why is this happening? I just met this kid 6 months ago, and it was Pedro more than the other kid, although I felt close to him. It wasn't the same thing.
Yeah.
She goes, Rita, you had a past life with him. I go, oh, come on, really? She goes, Rita, there's no other explanation. And then I was able to say, there is no other explanation. I felt like I had lost a child that had been brought back to me. I felt like wasn't like even like a birth mom that had placed a baby for adoption and reconnected with this child. I'm like, this is weird. Again, no other explanation. So fast forward a little bit, he had the same feeling. We ended up talking about it. And I said, does your family believe in this? He said, yeah, my mom and dad did it, but they won't let me do it yet. And I said, well, I think we have something here. He goes, yeah, we do. So he already knew. So that relationship, 11 years later, we still have. We've kept in touch. In fact, I just visited him for the first time in 10 years last year when he was living in England with his wife. Now, my family thought it was a little weird at first. Oh my God, Mom, you're so weird. You're weird. Like, you can think I'm weird, but part of this soul journey is you have to speak. I have to. If you're on this journey, you speak your truth. Yeah. And if someone thinks it's weird, they think it's weird. You know? So I'm at 62, I'm done caring what people think. If they think I'm weird, that's okay, because I know who I am and I know where I come from, right?
Yeah.
So that I wanted to share that, because Eden Energy Medicine, in our 4th year, we learn regression. And so we do regression and soul empowerment hypnosis that I learned through Courtney. I actually have kind of combined that with the Eden regression work because it's a way to tap into that other realm, that sense of connection.
Yeah.
And I've had some amazing soul empowerment hypnosis sessions. I call them spiritual empowerment hypnosis sessions. So with a friend of mine that we exchange sessions, and those are very doable on Zoom. So anyway, that's sort of my trajectory of how I got into Eden Energy Medicine. A lot of it was my own healing work that led me there. And for a lot of folks, it is that get into Reiki or anything like that, or energy work. But now I never thought I'd do it as a living. I never thought I'd be able to do this. And I feel like it's very sacred work. Donna has brought a gift to this world, and it makes me, makes my heart kind of feel full and get teary-eyed a little bit. She's 82 this year, and we're still moving forward with the organization. So it is it's sacred work to work with people.
You studied directly with Donna Eden?
Well, yes and no. So Donna, as she is, she has faculty, and the faculty have taught the direct classes. Donna has shown up over my 4 years and done some demos and done some talking and done a little bit of the teaching. But at this juncture, she doesn't do any of the full-time teaching.
I didn't think so.
No. Yeah. I just came back from the practitioner conference a couple weeks ago. And she and David were there, and they talked, and they chatted, and she was there asking a lot of questions. You ask Donna a question about anything, and she'll have an answer for you related to how to work with that. Yeah. So she still is active in that way. And she and David just wrote a book together called The Tapping, I think is what it's called. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I have learned from her directly, but her faculty are the people who do the core teaching.
Yeah, just for a second for our YouTube folks, let me show this. It's Donna Eden with David Feinstein. Energy medicine, balancing your body's energies for optimal health, joy, and vitality. And I can tell you, there is such a wealth of information in this book that it could take, I don't know, years.
It does take years. I mean, I did the Advanced Practitioner program as a 4-year program.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I haven't even made it through every single page of that book. And we've expanded from that. I mean,
Yeah.
this practitioner conference was amazing. The teachers that have trained all of them trained directly under Donna, the 3 that taught this past
Yeah.
conference, and they're just brilliant. It keeps expanding because that's what Source wants us to expand, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, she's pretty amazing. Okay, are we sort of at the end of your narrative? And
yeah, for you to ask
you're
questions. I
for
mean, I
questions?
could have
I'll
gone
just-
into more detail, but I
Well-
wanted to highlight where I got to.
Yeah. There were a couple things that you mentioned. You talked about at one point, as you were looking at different things, you got into Christian music. Was that listening, or was that singing, or
Oh, good question.
what was that about?
Well, it was mainly listening, and
Okay.
actually, the person that I ended up listening to the most was Stephen Curtis Chapman. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's been around in the Christian music world for a while, and I would sing along with it. And I think a lot of that music can be very healing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it was part of my journey.
Yeah.
I moved on from that, but if I listened to his songs today, I'd still sing along with them, right?
Yeah.
He's a good person. He's an amazing artist, and his family's gone through pretty big tragedy because they had 3 sons, I think, and then they adopted 2 little girls from China.
Uh-huh.
And gosh, it's been about 10 years or more now. I can't remember. It's when I was really listening to him. His one son was coming home, driving through down the driveway, turned the driveway because his driveway was an L. And when he turned, one of the little girls was running out from the house. And unfortunately, she didn't make it. She passed away, and so it was a huge tragedy for that family. So that was, he knows grief,
Yeah.
and he speaks to that. And anyway, so yeah, that was a healing time for me to be in that space. But Spirit kept moving me in different directions and expanding, expanding me in different ways.
Well, when we talk about energy and energy medicine, the vibration of songs and
Yes.
music
Yes,
can resonate with
Absolutely.
that energy for us.
yeah, and in fact, some of the protocols that I do specifically in my work, I use sound. So
Uh-huh.
we use the voice because we know that vibration helps heal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the vagus nerve that comes from here, down here, and into the body, into the gut, vibration we can do with our voice. We have free healing mechanism here with our voice, right?
Yeah.
Singing, humming, chanting. So that's why I really loved Kundalini yoga, because Kundalini yoga is a lot of chanting. It's not the flow yoga that, is the popular American yoga. Kundalini is very scientific based and very much about activating different organs and organ systems in the body through different types of chanting. There's even books about using Kundalini protocols for healing PTSD, anxiety, and depression. So the chanting I love, and that's part of what I think kept me in that for a long time. I still chant. On the way over here, I had one of my favorite Kundalini singers, Jai Jagdish, on. She just popped on my car, and I'm chanting along with her. So
The windows were closed?
yeah, yeah. Today they were. But yeah, I think music and sound is so important. A friend of mine who's a sound healer does a lot of beautiful work. He's in Pittsburgh as well. And I bought a brass bowl from him that's made by Peter Hess, who my friend Wyatt studied with. And
Wyatt Melius.
Yes, do you know Wyatt?
He's been on the program.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he's a very good friend of mine. In fact, he's the one that looked at the space that you're in
Okay.
about a year ago.
Yeah.
So I bought a bowl from him, and I do use it. We use it. I use it on the chakras, especially in the lower
Yeah.
chakras, to bring vibration deeper into the tissues and the cells. So, and my clients love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I met Wyatt at one of the psychic fairs.
Yes.
And, connected with him
Yeah.
then. And
Yeah. One of my top favorite humans.
yeah. I was hoping that he'd bring some bowls to the interview.
Oh,
and instead the
what?
interview took off in a totally different direction.
Oh, you'll have to tell me which
It's
number so I can listen to it.
yeah, it was a big surprise to me.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, he's quite a story and quite a human being.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Uh, I I just loved hearing about your work with Cancer Bridges. I volunteered with them for a couple years,
Oh, wonderful.
uh, and and did a writing workshop
Yeah.
for some of the people there.
Yeah, it's a great organization. I can't say enough good things about it. And my friend who was the clinical director invited me to do this webinar monthly, probably 6 or 7 years ago now. And I also just introduced to them, and I did it last week, and I'm actually doing it on Saturday, not for Cancer Bridges. I'm doing it in my friend's studio, an energy medicine yoga class. So I'm introducing the energy medicine exercises in a way that kind of combines it with, movement. I mean, a lot of the energy medicine exercises, Donna has created something called the 5-minute daily energy routine, and they're movement and tapping related. We're opening up space. Energy needs space to move, so we're opening
Yeah.
up space. We're tapping. We're holding. So I've evolved, and I've done workshops in the past doing some of the same stuff. I've evolved kind of my own thing. Breath work, holding, somatic holds on the body, teaching the energy medicine exercises, teaching and and telling people why we're doing what we're doing. So one of the things I love about Eden Energy Medicine more than any other energy modality I've ever looked at and studied is that for me, it's a partnership. It's not just me waving my hands or touching your body. I want that person to be as involved with learning about their own energies and taking home some things to do for themselves. Because they're not going to see me weekly. I have clients that come every 2 weeks, maybe every 3 or 4 weeks, but the goal is to include and you become a partner of on your own wellness, right? And so that's my passion. I want people to learn, take the stuff home, go home and do it. And my clients that do it, in fact, I saw one of my therapy clients yesterday. He's come for a few energy sessions too. He goes, yeah, I found the YouTube video you told me to do the energy routine. He goes, and I did it. And then midday, I'm like, yeah, I think I feel different. You do. You feel different. I now, as a practitioner, part of my own self-care is I do it every day. It's almost like brushing my teeth. It's like energy hygiene. We have a physical body and we have this energetic body. And Donna identifies 9 energy systems of the body. So that's a lot, right?
Yeah.
But just doing these simple energy exercises, which I can do a couple with you here if you'd like, can make a huge difference. So with the Cancer Bridges folks, I'm working a lot with teaching them that, and they love it. Because when you go through cancer, it's a very disempowering thing. So this is a way to give them some ways to feel empowered, take some of that back for themselves. I can help my body feel better. And in fact, when I did it this week, I did a little experiment because I'm on the energy medicine research team for Eden Energy Medicine, and it's a volunteer thing. But we want to do more research to basically, not that we know we don't have to prove that this works,
right.
but we need to show other people in the world how it works. And research does help. So I did a little mini experiment, and I had the people that were on, there was like 6 or 7 of them, rate 3 things, their pain level, their energy level, and what was the last thing? I can't remember the last thing, but like 0 to 10. And before we started and then after. And the numbers did change. I said, are you guys open to doing this a few weeks, a few months now, so we can track that. Because after you do the work, you do feel better. And one of the ladies, she's dealing with pulse ox issues, and she said she texts her pulse ox after the session. She goes, it's always better. She goes, I know this work because I'm seeing my own metrics right here.
Yeah.
Heart rate, pulse ox, all of that stuff will shift and change. I did a little experiment with a guy from Pitt. His name is Dr. Greg Siegel, and he's a neuropsychiatrist. I met him at an art show a few years ago, and he did some really cool art that was like energy, and you could see the photography of his body moving and the way the colors moved. we started chatting, and I told him what I did, and I said, I'd really like to do some stuff with you. So anyway, long story short, I took my stuff down to his office. He has this thing that they put on the head that tracks the brain waves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I did a session for him, a very specific session, one of the protocols in Eden Energy Medicine called the Black Pearl. The Black Pearl works with the neurovascular points on the head. The neurovasculars are points that help bring blood flow back up to the brain. Super relaxing, very calming for the nervous system. So he has the machine on his head. So it was kind of hard for me to do some of the points, but I did them. And then I did other things, that we do. We do hookups, hooking into our energy systems. I did a lot of, Donna talks about figure eights or the infinity sign as ways the energy speaks and we can strengthen energy. So I did other things, but each step was noted, and the girl in the other room was noting what was happening through each step that I did, what was happening in his brain waves. And he gave me, afterwards, he was super excited. I was excited, printed out the 20, 30-page document that noted all of the changes for each step. And he was like, wow, this is so cool. We were both really excited to do some more work together. And then for whatever reason, the universe decided it wasn't the right time, because he reached out to me, I reached out to him, and then I never heard back. And I reached out a couple times. The man has a lot on his plate, right? He's a researcher. So and I'm just this person over here. He was willing to give me, stuff to do on my own, but I'm not going to do research in my office. In my office, that's for healing for people. Yeah. But it's kind of cool to know that we could do it, right? But you have to get what they call an internal review board to work with human subjects and find grant money and all that stuff. But that's the trajectory I think we as an organization, Eden Energy Medicine, is really pursuing. How can we really do some really good research and do some publish some papers on it?
Yeah. And sometimes it's good to do cooperative relationships.
Yes.
For instance, the Heart Math
Yes.
Institute does a lot of research
They do.
around this stuff. Greg Braden has
Yes.
has a lot of work that he's done.
Yeah, and Dawson Church too.
In Dawson Church.
Yeah. So they are very good friends with Dawson. So yeah, I will bring those other two names back to them, and they may have actually thought about that.
Yeah. Dawson Church. I'm currently leading a book study group through Is Genie in the Genes. I don't know if you've looked at that book.
I have not. I'll have to look at that one.
Yeah, The Genie in Your Genes. It's all about what's stored in your genes, how you can affect your genes, how your brain can change your genetic makeup, all of that.
Yeah, there's some really awesome, amazing stuff happening right now.
Yeah.
I think now there's this explosion of people being much more open, much more open to saying, I'm looking at alternative holistic wellness in a way that I haven't, because traditional medicine isn't quite working. We still need traditional medicine. Don't get me wrong. I saw my doctor for my physical this morning. I'll take an antibiotic if I need it, but I'm much more aware that sometimes I will check in with my energy systems first before I run and take a pill or do anything like that. Traditional medicine saves lives, right? So there's nothing there, but together, synergistically, Western and Eastern medicine can come together, and then you have your best bet at holistic wellness. And that's what I tell my folks, especially the folks from Cancer Bridges who are going through, most of them, treatment. Like, when you bring this element in, it's going to help your body go through your treatment better. It's going to help your pain levels go down. It's going to help you metabolize these medicines better. It's going to help your big time, help you learn how to strengthen your immune system. Yeah. Right? And calm down. But in energy medicine and Chinese medicine, it's called that triple warmer, that fight or flight energy in the body. That is something that all of us have. All of us are have gone through times of stress and hypervigilant, some more than others, depending on their upbringing and how it impacts your nervous system. And the impact on a human's nervous system, especially as a child, it's like, you've heard the terms blueprint and imprint, right? So we have our blueprint, which you're talking about, the DNA and the genetics. Then we have our imprinting. And the imprinting is, like, I believe, this is my own observation, sits in our nervous system. So, like, our responses to things, our reactions to things, depending on how we grew up and what we were exposed to, is our nervous systems have been challenged.
Yeah.
and nowadays the society we live in is challenging our nervous systems even more,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, someone I've interviewed twice now on this program, Sarah Salto, does a lot of research about the fascia system,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that all that stuff is really stored in your fascia.
100%.
And if you can't get it flowing and get it released, it's
Yep.
going to turn into disease.
That's right. That's right. And that's why this holistic stuff is so important. I mean, there's been some research in Korea. I can't cite you the exact thing, but that they've been studying the meridian system. And they believe that, people are like, well, where are the meridians? That is the fascial system. Because when you look
Yeah.
at the meridian pathways that are bilateral up and down the body, they don't make a whole lot of sense. They go here, here, and here, And so I think that's true, right? And I think the meridians are moved through fascia systems, right? And the fascia stores trauma, right? So some of the things that we're doing in my work, like I'm not doing deep massage or fascial release, myofascial release, although I get it done for myself and I love it. But there is a protocol for clearing shock out of the body. And we work with the feet. The shock points are at the bottom of the feet, and we hold them, we push them to release the body, give sort of a opening, like a portal for the body to start to release the physiological shock. And then the back of the calf is the gastrocnemius, right? That gastrocnemius muscle is related to that triple warmer energy, that fight or flight energy. So oftentimes when someone's had a big shock and I work on them, that I go back there and I'm trying to pull that energy down. It is like a rock. It is like a rock. And but once you work with it and you get the body to start to feel safe enough to release, it'll get softer and softer and softer. And it's really interesting to see where people's traumas are stored in the body, depending on the kind of trauma that the person had, right? So I have a woman, obviously I'm not going to name names, confidentiality, but her trauma is stored in her sinus area. We work a lot with this. This is stomach meridian right here. Right. And so she's got a lot of clog, a lot of tightness here. It's getting way better. And her feet, she has a really hard time relaxing her toes. So they're kind of flexed a lot. So just instead of when you relax your toes, it's like this. Well, she has some trauma from childhood that explains that, And so once I point that out to her, she's like, oh, so we have to work on not just the physiological stuff and the release and getting the body to feel safe. Safety is a big deal. How do I help this person feel safe in their nervous system enough to relax their toes, right?
Yeah.
And so when that happens, and when the client gets an awareness of, oh, this is all about that, and then we can work on breath work, and then we can work on safety, and we can work on bringing the energy of groundedness and safety. And this can be and is for me very spiritual work, right? So as much as people are open to that, we invite that in too, consciously.
Yeah.
So it's really, really interesting, and healing also, this, of course people want to heal physically, right? And we want to feel better. That's the main reason people come and see me. I want to feel better, mostly physical, sometimes emotional. I want this anxiety to go away. But there's also spiritual healing, right? And so I had a client who had pancreatic cancer. And, most people that get diagnosed with pancreatic cancer don't live more than 4 or 6 months. She lived about 18 months. And she had a pretty strong will to live. And she saw me for about half of that time. In that time, I saw her heal. Now, did she heal from her pancreatic cancer? No. Was she able to manage her symptoms better? Yes. We did some deeper healing about the stuff that she had never talked about, and that was, she needed a safe place to talk about it. So I do believe by the time that she was ready to cross over, she felt at peace.
Yeah. Yeah, that's important.
It is. It really
Yeah.
is. So that's why I call my work very sacred.
Yeah.
Walking these journeys with folks and people sharing really deep things from their heart, things that many of them have never shared with anybody else. That's sacred space. And
Yeah.
I take that really seriously.
Yeah. So when you do your work, uh, do you ever find yourself taking on what somebody's released?
Mm.
Because I know that in doing Reiki, it's important to be a channel and
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
not take that on.
Mm-hmm.
And being a channel of the energy often energizes you.
Yes.
But do you end up in situations where you feel energetically depleted?
That's a really good question. I think it's one of the risks that anyone doing energy work has,
Mm-hmm.
and the way to avoid that is to do your own work. Got to get grounded. You got to stay grounded. You got to do your own work. You got to get your energies clear before you work with somebody else, right?
Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of picky about who I go to and who I let touch my body.
Yeah.
So that does help, but I don't see usually more than 3 to 4 energy clients. 3 is a lot. It depends on the client. Some clients I can, that are in a better state energetically, and it's more like a tune-up.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. But if I have someone who really needs deeper work, 2 or 3 a day, an hour and a half of those sessions. Hydration is super important.
Yeah.
This work, and people don't realize this, therapy for therapists and for energy workers, it's like running a marathon. So
I saw you
yeah,
looking at your bottle.
yeah, I'm gonna take a drink right
Feel
now.
free because I feel the need
Yeah.
too.
So hydration is super important. We have to hydrate ourselves. We are 70-something% water, I think, right? So doing our own work, doing our own self-care. I spend a lot of money on my own self-care. My husband will sometimes complain about it, but I'm like, I have to.
Yeah,
I
sure.
I have to do radical self-care because I have to be my best self as much as I can, right? To show up and hold space for folks, right? So, but you're right. Sometimes what I love about energy work, therapy actually drains me more, to be honest, than
Yeah.
energy work because I'm sitting. I'm not moving. And when I'm doing
Yeah.
energy work, I'm moving around the table. I'm moving, energy's moving synergistically, my energy, the client's energies. And I feel like better. I feel more, usually I feel that
Mhm.
energy. When energy's moving in a client and even in myself, every energy practitioner is different, but I feel hot. I get a heat. I go, woo. I'm like, so my clients know, I'm like, oh, I'm getting hot now. I got to take this layer off. Or I start to yawn. And that's another common sign from the practitioner and also the client standpoint. If they start yawning, that's a sign energy's shifting. So there's some really blatant signs, but some subtle signs too, right? So I just have to be really mindful of my own self-care,
Right.
and like I said, that's why I keep my therapy clients more like 10, 11 a week because I've been doing that for 40 years and
Yeah.
doing the energy work for about 8 or 9. So get up, move around, stretch, drink
Yeah.
water. Yeah, I don't know. There's some therapists out there that sit and see clients for 30 hours a week. There's no way.
Yeah.
That would deplete me, truly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think self-care and being grounded, having your own practice.
Mhm.
Like I said, what I did before I came here. Every morning I do my energy work, and I sit, even if it's 10 minutes, I sit and I check in with spirit, and I'm like, just breathe.
Yeah.
What do I need to know today? I also have incorporated a practice. I like oracle cards. I'm not a tarot person, but I love oracle cards. So I have a bunch of oracle decks, and to me that's just another way of getting a message.
Yeah.
I have had experiences with energy clients because of my intuitive work with Kim primarily, but also Soul Empowerment Hypnosis, where I get messages for clients, or I feel some folks show up. If a lot of my clients are open to saying, "Oh, okay, my guides are here," but I've had people's loved ones show up.
Uh-huh.
I usually feel it or I hear something. And depending on the person, I may or may not share that. I usually ask. Um, but I remember this one guy who he had lost his wife pretty tragically. About 15 years before he saw me, she had fallen and hit her head and then ended up, in a coma and never came back. And he's like, I'm just stuck. I'm stuck. I can't move forward. I want to move down with my daughter and I can't do it. I just can't get moving. And I knew it was grief. I knew it was trapped grief. I said, well, I could do therapy with you, but that would probably be doing you a disservice because you've had therapy before. But here's this other work I do, and here's why I would, and I'm going to offer this to you, but you get to choose. I never force anything on folks, but I really want to recommend this. He came, and at first session, his wife was there. And I said afterwards, I'll change his name. I'll say it's Andrew. And I said, did your wife call you Andrew? And he said, yeah, she did. Instead of Andy, right? And so he got this big smile on his face. And I think he just felt a sense of, ah. And then the next couple sessions, he started cleaning his house, started painting his house, called a realtor, went down and looked at other houses, got his house on the market. From the spring until the end of August, this man made all those changes, got a surgery, broke up with someone he had been dating, found a house, put his house on the market, something he couldn't do for 15 years,
Yeah.
right? And then he's gone. I'm like, to me, that's energy medicine success, right? That's the way energy helps people move and get unstuck,
Yeah.
right? But how do I prove that? But yeah, to me, that's one of my stories I share. People want to know, well, how does this work?
Yeah.
People feel better, but they get unstuck.
Yeah. So some people are concerned that when you open that portal to energy, that negative things can come in, not just positive. So do you have a prayer of protection or something that you use to make sure that the energy is the good energy that comes in?
That's a good question, Bob. My personal belief is I know that there are people that believe and maybe it exists, but I feel like I don't go there.
Okay.
I believe that this is such sacred work that and I don't have a particular prayer, although some people do. I know some people in
Yeah.
Reiki do, and maybe that's the thing that I can consider because some people do that. I just know that that this is all good. I just know it, and so I've had a couple of clients come in with what I would call dark energy attachments. I guess you could say that.
Yeah.
And some practitioners might be scared of that. I wasn't scared of it because I know that I'm protected by my guides. I know that. But sometimes it can be a little intense, right? Because these attachments, we'll call them, are for me, and in both cases, one was, we can energy test. So I was like, okay, and I feel it. Oh, this is old energy. Oh, I don't know where this is coming from, but this is old stuff. In one case, it was probably 3 generations back, maybe 4, because we know that what's not transformed is transferred, right? And this is Richard Rohr's saying. I give him credit for that. What's not transformed is transferred. And I use that saying all the time. So we have genetic inheritance and we have emotional inheritance. We have our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, all of their stuff that was never healed gets passed down, right? I'll give you an example of that in a minute. So this one was that, and we were able to clear it energetically. It was like a vortex. So we do some vortex clearing. We're able to clear it, and we did do some prayers at that time. This person was open to that, and basically saying, you're no longer wanted here. You're no longer needed here. And you have to do it with love.
Yeah.
Bye. There's the window. And then the other one was, what was the other one? The other one was maternal. And sometimes I go off the reservation in terms of energy medicine practices, and I use other things. So I used sage, and we saged her body and move the energy that way. And I've used sage. I use incense to clear those types of energies, right?
Yeah.
So it can happen, but I'm just so grounded in knowing that that this is sacred work, that if it does show up, I'm not scared of it. We
Yeah.
just, we clear it and we move it. And yeah. But back to intergenerational trauma. So my grandmother had the RH factor. She lost 6 babies. She had my aunt, lost 2, then my mom, and then lost 4. They didn't know what that was in the late 30s, right?
Yeah.
Early 40s. So a lot of grief, right? Who helped women
Oh,
grieve?
yeah. Gee.
Who helped women grieve back then? Nobody. Who helps women grieve today when they lose babies? Not many people. We're better at it today than we were then, but there's still a lack of services for
I
that.
can recommend a death doula.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, because of that, what's not transformed is transferred. I believe, and I can see it play out now, that my mom was the holder of a lot of that grief. And she was the baby that was the miracle baby, right? And she would always tell the story of the baby that died before her. And like, well, you weren't even alive. Why would you tell that story? And she says, well, my mom would tell the story that when the first baby died, they didn't bring your babies to you back then to let you see the baby. They just said your baby died. The second baby died. She asked the nurse, what's wrong with my baby? Can I please see my baby? And the nurse did bring her the baby, and he was fine. It's just, he was fully formed, but they couldn't tell why he died. But my grandma was shared that with my mom, and she would be crying, and my mom would cry. So every time my mom shared this story, she would cry. Now, my mom had fibromyalgia, inflammation of the fascial tissue, right? That's trauma. That's grief. That's really deep grief to me.
Yeah.
So intergenerational trauma is something I work with a lot. When people like Mark Wolin, you know who Mark Wolin is? He does family constellation work. And he has a book called It Didn't Start With You, because we all inherit those things.
So when you heal that in this generation, do you feel that it goes back and
Yes.
then heals those past generations?
Personally, I do. Yeah.
Okay.
It heals back and forwards. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my understanding of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So your soul tribe guides, who are they?
Oh, wow. Okay. Now you're really making me come out here. As that one I told you, I listened to Carol's interview with you, like, oh, I'm coming out of the closet,
Yeah.
So lots of archangels. They're a lot of people's guides, right? Michael's a big one. Michael loves people.
I've got 5 of them. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All of them. Diana.
Okay.
And one that came through, a big one, that came through in a spiritual hypnosis session, and identified herself as Mama Honeydew. Now, Mama Honeydew is, she's a very strong mama figure with a Southern accent, right? And in the way that I hear her voice, right? But she's the mama energy that tells me, I got your back. Michael always is at your back, at least of mine. So Diana, several others, but Mama Honeydew's been the latest one. She keeps, like this morning, I leaned down and I'm meditating. What am I going to talk about today? And then I heard, you got to share the story. Okay. And then I leaned down between my knees to stretch my back, and I could literally kind of feel this energy of rubbing my back. Gotcha. You're okay. You're okay.
Yeah.
So.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So my friend loves that name, Mama Honeydew.
Yeah.
Don't ask me why. When I asked her what her name was, that's what she told me. Because our guides talk to us, right?
Yeah.
We feel them, we hear them, we sense them.
Yeah.
We're never, and I think that's the beauty of, here I am, from cradle Catholic to metaphysical, spiritual empowerment person. But that knowing is so comforting. We're never alone.
Right.
We're never alone.
Yeah. Yeah, my latest is Suzanne Giesman's friend, Wolf.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He came and taught. He came to you, huh?
He did.
He's a strong one.
After I went to her presentation at Lilydale and learned all about Wolf.
Yeah.
That night, I asked him
To come.
to connect with me, and then I complained to him that he didn't connect with me, and he said, "No, I did. I sent you that dream,
Oh,
and here's
interesting.
what that dream meant." And he interpreted the dream for me.
Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I check in with Wolf every once in a while.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, her stories about how she got to where she is are very powerful.
Yeah.
Very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She just popped up on my screen again this morning.
Yeah.
She's doing good work.
She's doing very good work.
Okay, there's two things I still want to accomplish before
Okay.
before we're done here.
Okay.
And we have 7 minutes to do that in.
Alrighty.
So, the first one is you offered a few conversations ago to do some energy work here on screen.
Okay.
Now, I'm assuming we don't have to get up for this
No.
because,
No, we will not get up. We'll do seated stuff.
okay. So I think a demonstration is great for the audience just to see something
Okay.
that you'd like to do.
Awesome. I'll do a few of the daily energy routine exercises that anyone can type into Google or YouTube and say daily energy routine, Eden Energy Medicine, and follow along with if they want to learn more. That's the other thing I love about Eden Energy Medicine. Everything's very open. There's no secrets. So the hookup exercise, we go to the belly button area, put your finger in or near your belly button, and the other one between your eyebrows, which typically we call the third eye, and you're going to push in and pull up. And just breathe. And what we're doing here is we're connecting this something called the microcosmic orbit, which is also known as the central and governing meridians that go around the body, starting at the groin area up and the groin area up the back of the spine, and they meet at the lip area. When we're doing the hookup, we're literally plugging into our energy systems, or it's like plugging in our energy computer. So when you feel off, or you feel like you just can't think straight, doing a hookup is really a simple, easy exercise, 30 seconds. The cool thing about energy medicine exercise is it doesn't take long. 30 seconds, a minute. For some people, if they're really off, they might hold it longer. I like to do this one before I even get out of bed in the morning.
I do this one every morning with my Qigong.
Nice. Yeah. See, there's some crossover with Qigong. So usually I hold till I feel the pulse, then I shake it out. And so the next one is called the crown pull. So energy needs space to move. So you're opening up space on your head. So you start here, and you're going to put your fingers here and just slowly open up with some pressure all the way across the top of the skull. I like to rub like I'm washing my hair because, like I said before, the neurovasculars are all on the head, and the head loves to be rubbed. That's why we like to go to the hairdresser and get our hair washed. And you go down, and at the bottom of the skull, there's little soft spots, occipital ridge. They're called the electric points. So I like to rub them a little bit more. And right in the middle of the back of the skull is the power point. So I like to rub all three of them together when I do this crown pull. Then you come down the neck. And again, if you have shoulder issues, you just listen to what your body wants to do. And you hold on to your trapezius muscles and you stretch a little bit and you pull that energy down and over your heart center. And I love that one. I always feel so much better when I do that. And the last one I'll teach, just because I know we're short on time, is called the 4 thumps. This helps with the immune system. So we start underneath the eyes, right at the top of the cheekbone. I like to rub first. This is the beginning of the stomach meridian. So we're also communicating with all these energy systems and tap. I like to tap bilaterally because bilateral tapping also helps the brain. The right and the left hemispheres of the brain kind of start talking to each other. Sometimes they get shut down and we get into a place called homolateral. We're testing for homolateral stuff when we see people in person. Because stress or trauma will get the right and the left hemispheres like two people who are mad at each other not talking in the house. Okay, now we're going to move down to right at the tip of the collarbone. You slide down. There's a little soft spot here. Same thing. For a lot of people, these are real tender. So this is the end of the kidney meridian. And so if you're going through any illness or your body, you take medicine, the kidneys are getting challenged. So we're working with kidney energy when we tap here. And then we're going to move down to the right in the sternum. Right behind the sternum is the thymus gland. So we're activating that. We're just tapping, saying, hi, thymus gland, you can work now. And then the last one, you can do two different ways. It's right at the, for women, it's like at the top of the bra line or a hand width down from the armpit. You can rub there that way or tap, or if that's too hard, you can tap this way. You can do it either way, whichever works better for your arms and shoulders. This is the end of the spleen meridian, and spleen is very involved in our immune system. So what Donna noticed, we do all our year 3, big part of year 3, our training is cancer protocols. So Donna worked a lot with cancer folks. What she noticed in any illness is that fight or flight energy is really over energy, which is triple warmer energy, we call that, and our spleen energy is really low. So if that stays that way for too long, our immune system's compromised, we're going to get sick. So one of the biggest things I work with is helping calm that energy down, sedate it. There's ways to hold acupressure points to sedate, many, many different ways to sedate that fight or flight energy, many ways, and strengthen spleen so that now they're supporting each other. They're not, you know, this isn't sucking energy out of the spleen.
Yeah.
So those are 3 of the ones that are on the daily energy routine. There's about 5 or 6 more. She's changed it a couple different times.
Okay.
And then the 8s, always do 8s. She said, if your client leaves and doesn't do anything, have them work in their aura, because our aura is our first line of defense. If our aura is weak, and when you asked about how do you not take in other people's energies when you're working on them, got to make sure your aura is strong.
Yeah.
So we keep our aura clean and strong with 8s, with clearing our aura. You know, you can use lots of things to clear the aura. I like to use sprays, you know, too. I use rose water spray. That helps.
Yeah.
But the aura is our first line of defense. It's like I call it our human energy placenta.
Okay.
So those are just a few. And I hope you feel
Okay.
a little bit better just doing
Yeah.
those 3.
Yeah. Okay, before we get into your words of wisdom, I want people to know how they can get a hold of you in case they would like to feel some of that energy from you.
Awesome. Okay, so my name of my business, and again, I'm a late bloomer. I worked in group practices most of my life. I opened up my own business in January of 2022, although I was doing energy work at other offices before that. So my office is in Allison Park. It's called In Harmony Energy Balancing and Healing. It's a long name, I know, but I like it. So you can just Google that. And I don't know if you put on your podcast notes, but you're welcome to put my contact information and my phone number. It's Rita at inharmonyenergybalancingandhealing.com.
Okay, that'll all be on my website
Okay, perfect.
under resources.
Yeah, and I'm happy to do free consults with people, 15-minute consult if they want to have questions. Happy to come and do a class somewhere for a group, you know, whatever
Okay.
type of group. You know,
Yeah.
there's lots of possibilities, not just necessarily one-on-one, but I can do virtual sessions and in-person sessions. We could do a class like I'm doing this energy medicine yoga class on Saturday if someone wants to do a class for a group they're a part of. I love teaching. I love teaching
Yeah.
this to people.
Okay,
So
great.
thanks for asking.
And now, this is your opportunity to leave the audience with a few words of wisdom. So,
Ooh, okay. So, you know, the best thing I can say is trust your intuition. Trust the guidance that you're receiving and be open to it, and know that what you're feeling is coming from some source within you. I call it sometimes your inner true essence. But for me, that's also the inner divinity that we have. So trust that when we follow that, or only good things are going to happen, even when it feels hard, right?
yeah.
Even when it feels hard. Sometimes it's like leaving a relationship or leaving a job. But when people trust that inner nudge, and you've heard this from so many of your guests, I'm sure, you know, trust that inner knowing, that nudge to go there. That's that spirit saying, I want expansion for you.
Yeah.
You are mine, and I want the best for you. So when you are faced with fears or I don't know if I can do that, stop and breathe and check in with that inner wisdom and trust that you can do it.
Yeah.
And the healing's
Yeah.
always available to you.
Thank you for that.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for being here.
Thank you, Bob.
Did you want to do anything with
Oh,
that?
yeah. I just wanted to say this is a book. I just was going over things, but people know, people say, well, how does energy, how do you know it works? Well, we have so many people. Einstein, energy equals MC squared, right? So this is a book by Ilia Delio, who is actually, comes from a church back perspective, but it's all about quantum physics.
Yeah.
So she writes about it. My good friend Bernie Tickerhoff has written a book about quantum physics and how we are way beyond what we know. And he's a Franciscan priest.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to read this. The invisible world of energy has a direct and solid connection to the concrete world of matter. For all practical purposes, energy is the real world. So just leave people with that quote and to be open to that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Bob. It's been an honor and a privilege, and I'm really excited that Robin gave you my name.
And audience, as always, take what resonates with you and incorporate it into your life. Put the rest on a shelf until you're ready to deal with it. And until next time, this has been your spiritual journey.